Peace, love, liberty, radio.
And the walls come crashing down as the war at home reaches your town. You have no choice, it's safe and clean. We all submit to the war machine.
So I did something recently that I don't usually do. I did something that I've not done in a couple of years. I purchased a new cell phone. And I did so partly because, well, the phone that I've had was starting to give me some troubles. And so I was looking online, looking to see what sort of phones there were. And normally I'll buy a phone that's a couple years old. Like, I'll buy the thing new. I don't buy it used, but, you know, like I don't get the latest model. So I'll get something that's a little older. And so the phone that I've had for a couple of years, it's been giving me trouble to where it'll just randomly reboot itself, and it'll do things to where the screen freezes up and I can't really do what I want to do on the phone. So I was looking around and I saw a phone that is actually quite new. It came out in, I think, June of last year, so, you know, like 7 months old. And the price that my cell phone provider, Virgin Mobile, had on their website wasn't a bad price. It was about $90, $100 for the phone, which is fairly cheap for most phones, right? Because I know a lot of people will wind up paying several $100s for a phone. But then I decided to look on Amazon, and the Amazon price was a few dollars cheaper than what I could have purchased from my cell phone provider. So $90 instead of like $95 or $99. And then I said, okay, let me go to Purse, because Purse allows you to save money on things that you're going to buy from Amazon anyway. So I wound up getting, I think, like 30% discount on this phone and a case. One of these rubber cases that if you drop it, it, like, you know, shock protection something, and then it's got a little clip thing that goes on it, and you can set the phone up, so it's like a little easel for the phone. So I got that with the cell phone for like a 30% discount, and I did so because I used Bitcoin, and I went to savewithpurse.com. That is, of course, my affiliate link, although I don't get commissions on things that I buy. But you can go buy things from Purse, and I'll get a small commission. And you can save 20, 25, 30, 35% or more. But so I mentioned the cell phone not to mention, you know, how you can indirectly help me by saving money on things that you are going to buy anyway. But the catch is you have to spend Bitcoin with Purse. But I mention that because I'm having to go through the process of re-downloading all of the apps that were on the other phone, and then setting things up and trying to remember passwords for various things. And so I've been rather distracted. But it's not a distracted to where I can't do the show. It's just a thing of every moment I get when I'm not in the midst of something else, I'm setting things up and making sure that the stuff is set up how I want it, and then I'm learning all of the quirks on this new phone. And so far, I really like the phone. It's an HTC Desire 626S, so it's got like a really fancy name. But yeah, nice phone, and the best part is I saved 30% on this phone. Had I not been able to save 30% on this phone, I would have got an older phone that would probably not be as good, wouldn't last as long, but this thing, I'm liking it so far. But now let me jump from the discussion about my new cell phone into, you know what, I'm actually not going to jump into the news quite yet, although I do have an interesting story about Germany's Reinheitsgebot. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Reinheitsgebot. It's a beer law that apparently has been in effect for 500 years. Who knew that there was such an old law about beer? Well, Reason.com has a story about why that should go away. And I don't really talk about my drinking preferences because I don't drink a lot. But my drinking preferences basically say that, yes, the Reinheitsgebot needs to go. And one of the reasons I don't drink a lot is because I've got this horrible headache that I've had for 4.5 years almost. And also because I've just never really been a big drinker. Like, I'll have a glass of wine maybe once or twice a week. I may have a beer once a week if I don't have 2 glasses of wine during the week. So I don't drink a lot. And I don't credit that to my weight loss. I've lost nearly 140 pounds since March of last year. And I just want to say one more thing on the weight loss. I am now, I know, officially lighter than I was when I graduated high school 20 years ago this May. So I graduated high school in May of 1996. So I'm, 5 months away from it being 20 years since I graduated high school. And I know that I'm lighter now than I was when I was in high school. I might even be lighter now than I was when I was playing football. I don't recall. But there's still like some, troubled spots with weirdly placed fat that I want to get rid of. And I'm hoping that by PorkFest, I'm at a weight that I like and a body shape that I'm happy with and comfortable with. And yeah, so if you wind up coming to PorkFest, definitely make sure you come by and say hi. So now let me jump into the story here from Reason.com. They write, Germany's Reinheitsgebot, the umbrella term used to describe the country's fabled beer purity laws, is celebrating its 500th birthday this year. Among other things, the 1516 law famously required that beer made in Germany contain only 3 ingredients: water, barley, and hops. Yeast, unknown in 1516, was only added to the list of permissible ingredients in 1993. So, yes, you heard that correctly. Beer in Germany can now have 4 ingredients. A 4th ingredient was added in 1993. That ingredient was yeast. The others, water, barley, and hops. I'm having trouble with the article here from Reason. It froze up. And so while I wait on this to refresh, I'll explain why I believe the Reinheitsgebot needs to go. Because my beer preferences are that I don't like hoppy beers. I love something with a good flavor, which means that most of the beers that I drink have some kind of fruit added to it. Because I don't like the taste of, well, let me just put it plainly, what tastes like cow urine. Most beer tastes like cow urine. I need some good flavor in my beer, and you can't have that with the Reinheitsgebot. The Reinheitsgebot needs to go.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Dahvi.
Hey, this is Dahvi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Dahvi. So, Dahvi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of PhonePhone right now at PhonePhone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve PhonePhone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to PhonePhone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's PhonePhone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, Echo, November, phone.com.
PhonePhone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Before I hopefully am able to get back into this article from Reason.com about the Reinheitsgebot, I want to make sure I tell you about Liberty.me. Liberty.me is more than just a social networking website. Of course, there is the social networking aspect to it, to where you can share cat pictures, you can post status updates, you can join groups, but there's also chat rooms. You don't have chat rooms on Facebook. You don't have chat rooms on other social medias. Certainly, you can have a chat with your friends, but it's not a publicly available chat that every member can jump in. But you have that at liberty.me. You also have other things. There's audiobooks. There are ebook, or not audiobook. There might be an audiobook. There's definitely audio available. There are ebooks. There are what they call Liberty Guides that are kind of like ebooks, but a little shorter. And there's so much more over there at liberty.me. And, of course, liberty.me is a paid service. That's one of the reasons you get so much out of it. But you get those extra things at no added cost. And you can save 10% on your membership to liberty.me when you use referral code FPP Radio. So go to liberty.me, use referral code FPP Radio, and when you sign up, be sure to add me as a friend. So the Reinheitsgebot, I was able to pull this up in another browser, and let me jump back into the article from Reason. The Reinheitsgebot, which is, again, the umbrella term used to describe the German beer purity laws, was intended in large part to prevent fraud and adulteration and has survived since the Middle Ages. It is literally medieval. Many German brewers take pride in the rules, but the Reinheitsgebot has come under increased attack in recent years for being an outdated weight to German beer. Some German brewers have fought the rules. A 2005 court challenge allowed a German brewer to continue adding sugar syrup to his dark brew and still call it beer. Why is sugar syrup permissible? Well, it appears to be the case that the sugar is added after brewing, so is not part of the brewing process. Yes, it's arbitrary, but it's not as if the rules always make sense. Enforcement of some facets of the Reinheitsgebot has sometimes appeared to be as arbitrary as the law itself. A 1988 article in the Northwestern Journal of International Law and Business notes, inspectors tested the quality of beer by pouring the drink on top of a stool and sitting down. Yes, you heard that correctly. In the Middle Ages, inspectors would test the quality of beer by pouring some on their stool and sitting in it. The quality of the beer, this according to the Northwest Journal of International Law and Business, the quality of the beer was measured by the degrees to which the beer caused the inspector's leather pants to stick to the stool. Slightly more modern science is also showing increasingly how the law has turned off German consumers. A new study recently added new evidence in support of the law's negative impact. The study, conducted by a German market research firm K&A Brand Research, found that the law, coupled with the freedom enjoyed by brewers outside the country in places like America with its thriving and innovative craft beer movement, is helping push younger German drinkers away from domestic beer and towards imports. The study concluded younger German drinkers find German beer laws to be increasingly irrelevant. They're fleeing to, among other drinks, those made by American craft brewers. And I must say that of the German beers that I have tasted, I don't like any of them. And it's because they only have that handful of ingredients: water, barley, hops, and yeast. And, well, you can't have real flavor with water, barley, hops, and yeast. And I know that some people that love an IPA are going to get mad at me, but IPAs are just too bitter for me. There's something about those beers that I don't like the taste of. I need something with some flavor. I love a good wheat ale that has some flavor. So you take a wheat ale and have some orange in it, and it's good. You take a wheat ale and add in some raspberries or strawberries, and it's good. And yes, I realize some people are going to say, "Oh, Darryl, you just like those girly drinks." Yeah, but some of those quote-unquote girly drinks that I drink, the stuff that I drink, a lot of it has 8, 9, 10% ABV. Whereas most American beer, it's 6% or less. Back now to the article from Reason. Plenty of American craft beers appear to comport with the Reinheitsgebot rules, but plenty do not, and often proudly so. For example, the folks at Dogfish Head, the award-winning Delaware brewery, are no fans of the Reinheitsgebot, and they proudly declare that they've been thumbing their nose at the Reinheitsgebot for more than 20 years. The brewery notes on its website, "We experimented with whatever ingredients we found in our brewpub pantry, things like chicory, licorice root, maple syrup, honey, pumpkin, raisins, and brown sugar. People called us freaks, but we loved those full-flavored beers, and so did our customers, so we stuck to our guns." Rules saying that food may only be made in a particular fashion often claim to uphold tradition, but as Dogfish Head notes, such rules are often wrong about tradition. The brewery points out that it's the German law itself, rather than adding berries or pumpkins to beer, that has bucked tradition. Dogfish Head points to beers thousands of years older than the Reinheitsgebot that contained ingredients like chicory and honey. Some German brewers also point out this fact. German brewer Johannes Heidenpeter says, "Why shouldn't I include coriander or berries if they improve the taste? Germans must choose. Younger beer drinkers are fed up with the Reinheitsgebot. Either the law will continue to slowly obsolete German beer, or Germans will abolish the law." And I'm in favor of abolishing laws. I'm completely in favor of abolishing laws, especially laws that are completely stupid and completely arbitrary. And yes, I realize that it sounds as though, I'm saying, well, maybe there's a law that makes sense, and maybe there is a law that makes sense. I think the law against theft makes sense because it's based on the principle that you don't get to hurt people or take their stuff. Laws against assault and murder, they make sense because, again, based on you don't get to hurt people and take their stuff. And why don't you get to hurt people and take their stuff? Well, that's because you don't have any more rights than them. You can't just go up and take somebody's stuff because the person has the right to their life, their liberty, and their justly acquired property. So you can't just go take somebody's stuff. You can't just go assault people. So those laws make sense and are logical. Laws that say you can't collect seaweed at night makes no sense, and it's not logical. Why can I collect it during the day but not at night? Huh? Makes no sense. Abolish it. And there's actually a movement to do that in New Hampshire. There's more. Stay tuned.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Dahvi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Dahvi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Here in the closing moments of the show, I've got an interesting story from rare.us titled, "The Less We Understand Others, the More We're Willing to Take Away Their Freedoms." And this is something that is very important because it seems like it's on the tip of the tongues of pretty much all of the major presidential candidates, where they talk about wanting to take away various rights of other people, and that there are some of their supporters that are agreeing with it and saying, well, their culture is different. So just because their culture is different doesn't mean they have fewer rights. Again, nobody has more rights than anybody else. Doesn't mean that nobody born in the United States has fewer rights than anybody else born in the United States. No. People everywhere in the world have the same rights. Now, that there are differences between whether or not people realize that they have the rights. There are differences about whether the government that exists in the territory where they live recognizes that they have those rights. It differs on whether or not the people have the ability to exercise those rights, but it does not deny the fact that every human being on this planet, and if there's any human beings not on this planet, they still have the same rights. It's just whether or not they know they have the rights and whether or not they can exercise the rights without repercussion from some government agency. But again, the article from rare.us written by Jack Hunter, it says, marrying into a Mormon family last year, my father-in-law explained his church to me over the holidays. It was interesting, and I learned many new things. He later said, this being the father-in-law, people think we're weird. He has a point. Until now, I had not known many Mormons. Only 2 of them went to my high school. Boys leave home for 2 years. Aren't they polygamist? And Mitt Romney doesn't drink coffee for some reason. Many Americans, or rather for many Americans, there's a cultural distance there. Last Friday, a Salt Lake Tribune headline read, Poll, Americans rank Muslims as least deserving of religious protections, put Mormons behind other Christians. The Tribune reported solid majority said it was extremely or very important for the U.S. to uphold religious freedom in general. However, the percentages varied dramatically when respondents were asked about specific faith traditions, according to a poll by the Associated Press and the NORC, Center for Public Affairs Research. And this, I'm going to pause here momentarily. This goes back to something that I've said often and for a while, is that most people, when they hear the term religious freedom or freedom of religion, they think freedom of denomination of Christianity, or You have the freedom to be whatever variant of Christianity as long as they agree that it's an appropriate variant of Christianity. Because they'll go back and they'll point to the Puritans or the the Pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower, or some of the others that came over looking for religious freedom that then set up their own sort of, like government church. They weren't looking for freedom of religion to allow everybody to be able to practice what they wanted. They wanted to be free to practice their religion as they saw fit. And so a lot of Americans will, when they hear the term religious freedom, they're like, yeah, I should be able to practice my faith the way I want to. But they don't really understand that applies that everyone should be able to practice their faith the way they want to. Again, as long as that faith does not interfere with the rights, liberties, or justly acquired property of other people. So you can't have a religion based on human sacrifice and then randomly kill people. But I digress. So, and I don't know of any religion that is claiming that they have the right to human sacrifice other than the government. Governments, although they don't call it human sacrifice, governments are the only entity that can get away with human sacrifice. And again, they don't call it that, but they will call it honoring the men and women who have fallen. And they put on these big parades and this big show, and they say that you have rights because people died. Basically, they're saying the sun only rises in the morning because we kill people. During this eclipse, when the sun goes away, in order to please the gods and cause the sun to come back, we must sacrifice someone. We must slay a virgin. And so that's basically what the government is saying when they say you have rights because people died. People died for your freedom to not stand up during the Pledge of Allegiance. So, young man, you better stand up because people died for that right. They're saying that you only have rights because of human sacrifice, and I disagree. I have rights because I'm a human being, and human beings have rights. Now, you could say that you're endowed by your creator with the rights. Not everybody's going to agree that there is a creator. But there's something innate in every human that you have those rights. Whether you say it comes from a creator, whether you say it comes from nature, whether you say that you're just born with it, rights are inherent. Rights do not come from governments. Governments write things down on pieces of paper saying we recognize these certain rights, but they do not grant you those rights. Back now to the article. The Post, or rather the Tribune, in their article that is cited in the article that I'm reading, says 82% of respondents said religious liberty protections were important for Christians, compared to 61% who said the same for Muslims, and about 70% said preserving for Jewish people, and 67% said it was important to preserve religious freedoms for Mormons. So religious liberty, this from Jack Hunter, says, so religious liberty is important, but less important if you're a Muslim or a Mormon, in that order. After the Paris and San Bernardino terrorist attacks last year, Muslims came under scrutiny, and I would say that a lot of Muslims, and this is me talking, not the article, a lot of Muslims have been under scrutiny for the last 15 years, if not longer. Donald Trump, back to the article now, Donald Trump wants to shut down mosques. Marco Rubio said that we should shut down anywhere Muslims gather and radicals are, quote-unquote, inspired. Polls showed that many voters agreed with those restrictions. A Trump spokesman defended her boss's proposal by saying, it's not different than a Mormon church. Many assumed she was citing the late 19th century when American presidents implemented harsh anti-Mormon policies. So, according to the Trump camp, we can restrict Muslims' religious liberties because we once restricted the liberties of Mormons. the 19th and 21st centuries might not be as far apart as we think. Many Americans don't understand Mormons, and as Jack Hunter's father-in-law noted, this is even truer of Muslim Americans, at least according to one poll. There's more to the article. It will be in the show notes. Have a good weekend, and send me your questions for the AMA at fpbradio.com.